This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
We have two Sueys to get to. Jemele Hill just took an important call from her agent. I don't know what that's about. She just had to run out of here, so she will be back in a moment. There's some urgency. Is she already packing up her stuff? While she's packing up her stuff, she's running out of here. So before we get to Jemele Hill, before we talk about football is back, America is better if the University of Miami is good at football. It's a better place. University of Miami has been very bad at football for a while. ESPN has trafficked in that sports pornography that is University of Miami football with not one but two sports porns about an entire time in UM football that Miami has been trying very hard to get back to. And now with Mark Richt, they've got a legitimately good team that opens the season at LSU. But before we get to Beepo, the University of Miami fan all of you have hated for a long time.
It's at Dallas, but it might as well be at LSU because Ed Orgeron told us that he's going to make AT&T Stadium Death Valley.
That's right. That Swamp Creature did a bit of a wrestling promo for us. Miami cannot lose to the Swamp Creature, Eduardo Orgeron. Miami's peoples have threatened to steal his chromies and
jack his rims, bro. Don't forget the rims. Okay. He's not gonna be able to drive. He's gonna have to take an Uber to the stadium. We did this already, Dan.
AT&T Stadium, Dallas, Texas. I know our fans are gonna be excited. Take over that stadium and turn it into Death Valley.
So he sounds threatening there.
Yes, he does.
Not because of any of the bored words he's spewing, but because he says them in the voice, the cartoonish voice of a bored swamp monster.
AT&T Stadium, Dallas, Texas. I know our fans are going to be excited. Take over that stadium and turn it into Death Valley.
So that's the excitement that brings college football back into our lives right there. It feels like he has said go Tigers one too many times, and he's just sort of a sedated tiger, a bit of a sedated tiger. But Stugotz, Mike, has been telling me, do you realize that Stugotz is embarking upon a written career? He wrote a Father's Day article for ESPN.com. It got a lot of applause. He wants to be a writer because he thinks it will parlay into TV appearances like Around the Horn if he becomes a columnist. And so now he is doing for ESPN.com. Am I allowed to announce this?
Oh, yeah, you can announce it. Sure. I'm not certain I want to be a writer. I want to do things that are easy and have guys do the work for me. I have a lot of ideas. I just need people to put them down on paper for me.
Right. And so one of the things is going to be a personal record book. He's talking to publishers. Stugotz is actually going to write a book before I do. He's going to write a book before he's read one.
It's going to be a lot shorter.
And also he is going to be doing a gambling segment for ESPN. This is how Disney and ESPN dip their toe into the gambling waters, with Stugotz being a bit of a gambling expert. And Mike, he said to me during the break, he wants a gambling name. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like Jimmy the Greek? Like, what do you mean you want a gambling name? He wants a name. He wants to go by a tout's name.
Like Stu the Jew. Something like that, you know? I mean, right now we're going with the gut, the public gut. I need a better name. I need a funnier name. I'm doing this for ESPN.com.
Gut.
Yeah, because they don't, what they want, Stugotz, okay? What they want, boom. What they want is for me, but keep them coming in, by the way. But what they want from me is just me to give little to no thought on these selections and just let it fly. And so that's why we've come up with Stugotz.
Okay, and Stugotz, it should be noted, I think it was 2 seasons ago, against the spread, unbelievably started 0-18. Mike, go get the 30 for 30 for us, please. We're not making this up. Stugotz, I think it's when he was sort of trying to still prove himself to ESPN that he had real sports credibility and he should be taken seriously as an analyst. I'm pretty sure he started one epic season 0-18 against the spread, which is impossible. It's against every odd.
I've given up on that, trying to prove that I'm credible. Like, I have just fully embraced this now.
I believe the tipping point on that was this horrific gambling string.
What if I told you that the pursuit of perfection isn't always a good thing? That 0 for 14 on your gambling picks isn't just possible, but will likely have real-life consequences. That my picks are for entertainment purposes only. That I gave you a sly wink and air quotes when I said that thing about my picks being for entertainment purposes only. That I've run into some pretty rough people you don't want to owe money to. That I've just taken out a third mortgage. That my daughters are going to have to make new friends in public school. That I know way too much about the University of Hawaii's football team because I'm always up late chasing. That my wife is probably leaving me and taking the kids. That if someone you never met before starts asking you questions about where I've been, tell them you haven't seen me in a while and immediately text me so I can get on the next flight to El Salvador. That I know it's been a rough couple of weeks, but I've got a great feeling about the Titans plus 6.5 on Sunday. ESPN Films presents a 30 for 30 about one man's fight to keep both his kneecaps.
We are not making that up. This is not an exaggeration. 2 years ago, Stugotz started a season. I don't believe it was 0 for 14. I believe we held against him his 4 public radio picks before that. So he started the season 0-18 against the spread.
Felt so good about those picks. They were my locks of the week. LOX.
Mike, did he put together 2 over 5s when he was chasing, or didn't he go like 0 for 7? He wanted to double up on games, so he picked bonus games.
Yeah, double unit plays. Double unit plays. We're chasing double unit plays.
Bad year, man, but I'm due.
All right, so you're going to be doing
Stugotz.
Stugotz is a good name.
What about Stu Locks?
I like Stugotz better. I like Stugotz better. Public gut is awful. I don't know how I don't know
why. You've been trying to sell public gut for a while. You can't even pronounce it.
It was just, I can't. You're right. It was just something that someone on ESPN.com had suggested. He was just trying to give me an idea of what they were looking for.
Oh,
like you're representing the public
That's
here.
who you should listen to, executives. That's a good idea. Public gut is what they come up with. That's why you don't talk to executives about that stuff.
Corner office.
Public gut? Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is the executive at ESPN who suggested the Stugotz gambling name Public Gut someone who should be fired?
Really?
I mean, come on. What kind of creativity is that? Public Gut? Stugotz. D-U-E Gotz is funny.
It was Golick.
That guy. When's he paying his bet?
I have no idea, man. I don't know. Like, listen, I don't want the bet to be paid. I mean, that's what you're not realizing here. You put me in the middle of this bet from last year's Miami-Notre Dame game, and he's got to massage my glutes, and I don't want it.
Mike, isn't Golick supposed to be about
massage your glutes?
Masculine pride? Isn't Mike Golick supposed to be about a man of his word, born in a land where people keep their words, and a man's word is all that matters in the world?
Oh, and he hates Welchers. This would not stand if the roles were reversed.
You fraud, Golick. You hypocrite. Honest to God, it's infuriating.
Now, he did it to me. I'm telling you, he gave me a private glute massage. He did. But it was private. I mean, the bet has not been paid off technically.
I don't believe you.
Oh, no, I'm telling you, he did it for a Mike, you think I wanted it?
Why is there no video of it?
He did it in North Carolina.
I think you made a pact because you don't want this done either.
It was a radio-only show. I did that show in North Carolina. It was radio-only. There was no cameras there, and he did it during a commercial break.
There were no cameras. No one had a video phone.
Listen, I'm just telling you what happened, and now you're asking me to do it again? You think I want those hands on my glutes again?
Yes.
I do.
Don Le Batard.
You're announcing that you will not announce that they are a good team until they've won back-to-back.
Yeah.
But because you are taking away all of Kevin Durant's championships in your personal record book,
right,
you are never allowing him to win them back-to-back, even if they win them back-to-back, thus securing that you never have to identify them as a great team.
Correct.
Stugotz.
I hate when I wander around in your head and see all the empty spaces and the tumbleweed blown around in it.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Oye, people, LSU has some fans too, and they're saying them boys on Le Batard Show are getting nervous about that game Sunday night because it's going to get real. Tuck that chain bleep in till week 2. Bro.
Who said that?
Ooh.
Say it to my face. Say it to my face. I dare you. I'll see you in Dallas. Are you going to Dallas? I dare you to say that to my face. Who is that? Give me his phone number. I'll text him right now.
At Moses C on Twitter.
Please. Guy's fake.
I got a little scared, though.
Yeah.
A bunch of LSU fans went to Death Valley last night to just practice their cheering, and it looks sold out. The game's not even there.
They went to practice cheering?
Yeah. That's a thing in some colleges.
There's nothing to do in that town, bro. On a Thursday night, you're going to practice cheer. What a joke. What a joke. They don't have the Grove?
But it's why our cheers are never done in unison. I mean, we're out getting hammered. They're out practicing.
The convergence of LSU fan versus Miami fan.
Ooh, bad one.
My goodness. Have any of you ever been to Baton Rouge to an LSU game?
Yes.
Okay. I've been there.
It's crazy.
It is insane. In fact, one of the few times in my adult life, that's where I almost got into a fist fight in a bar in Baton Rouge. And
I've got a knee injury from Slidell, Louisiana, around some of that stuff. Yes, I got into a bar fight as well in Slidell, Louisiana, nearby because I'd gone to an LSU game.
And it was over Kenny Chesney. Of all things, of all people. And I like Kenny Chesney. I met Kenny Chesney. I'm a fan of his work, but it started because I was at the jukebox and I was about to play a new selection of music, and a drunken LSU fan came up to me.
That's redundant, by the way.
Came up to me, and me and another sports writer, we were commenting on Kenny Chesney's album cover because it looked very sexy, and I was like, "Look at Kenny Chesney getting his model on, or whatever." And the fan said he called Kenny Chesney the N-word, and I know this is not. He's like, and he said a couple other expletives saying that he got more women, and instead of saying that man, he said that N-word gets more than anybody else.
And you're almost getting.
And I was looking at him like, is this happening in real life? And it was a white dude, right? And I was like, this is actually happening in real life. And I just stared at him, and I went back to the bar, and he was sitting a couple seats from where my group was, and I was just like, I gotta say something. Like I know I'm in Baton Rouge, but I can't let this roll. Right. All right. So I walked up to him and I said it very calmly. I didn't want to come off aggressive. I said, "Hey, listen, I don't know what kind of people you're used to being around, but that just doesn't fly. And just because I don't want you to repeat this, especially in the company of somebody black, then you need to really watch what you're saying, because that was offensive." All right. And I said it just like that. And I was content to just leave the conversation there. We didn't need to solve racism in this Louisiana bar.
So I think you were real close. I feel like you were.
I was on the verge.
You were right on the cusp of fixing racism. And really, if we look back on it, that's where it all went to hell.
Wrong.
That's where it all went to hell.
Man, Dan, hindsight is 20/20, right? So then he loudly says to me, You don't know the ghetto. I know the ghetto. I know more ghettos than you. And I was like, wow, we went from the N-word to the ghettos?
Yeah.
Like, this really happened?
A strong improvement by him.
Correct. He clearly had amended in those moments. So we go back and forth, starts to yell. He jumps up. I guess, he thought that I was going to really let him get a shot off on me, because as I often like to remind people publicly is that I am really from Detroit. So just so you know, that conversation is not going to end the way you think it will. All right. And so he started getting in my face, and some of my sports writer buddies noticed. And one of them, who actually was passed out at the bar, jumped up. I don't know, his spidey senses went off. That's right. Another black sports writer, and he was like, "Oh, black people in trouble. Let me jump up. Something just happened." The sonar went off. So he jumped up and got in the dude's face and like, what you gonna do? Are you gonna hit her? Like, so it got real intense and aggressive for a few minutes. That dude got thrown out the bar.
That's real serious. I just like to imagine LSU fans sort of actually emerging from a swamp on game days. Like they emerge from a swamp of liquor.
They come out once a week.
Yeah, it's like a zombie apocalypse.
Right.
They just start
like
moving slowly toward the stadium.
It's from Atlantis, but the swamp just rising up.
I must admit, I'm going to think about this story every time I hear Kenny Chesney now.
Really?
Kind of just ruined Kenny Chesney.
Word association, Kenny Chesney.
Right. And the fact that somebody would call him the N-word, it was like, what?
That's right. This game is going to be that against the University of Miami's.
I'm dying to know who the drunk sports writer was.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
It was Stephen Holder.
All right.
Yeah, Stephen Holder.
Never heard of him.
Oh, sorry, Stephen, my bad.
We've never heard of him. He's a long-time Florida
He's with the
guy.
Athletic now. He's playing for he's writing about, he writes for the Colts.
He
I don't
doesn't
read. That's what's.
Oh, okay. All right.
Dollar bills, y'all. Dollar bills, y'all.
Stephen Holder.
Okay, you say so.
Drunk Stephen Holder.
He was passed out right on the bars. It was awesome.
Don Le Batard.
So let me just get this straight. What you just gave us was limited fake John Lovitz as Will Smith's character in Bad Boys, Mike Lowry.
Yeah, that's a ticket. I'm Mike Lowry.
Stugotz.
Thank you. There it is.
Yeah.
Mike Lowry. Thank you.
Glad we waited for it.
It was a lot better.
Thank you.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get triple action protection for optimal engine performance with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. Here's your SportsCenter update. An arbitrator is sending Colin Kaepernick's grievance with the NFL to trial, denying the league's request to throw out Kaepernick's claims that owners conspired to keep him out of the league because of protest of social injustice. Meanwhile, despite being encouraged by their ongoing discussions, the NFL and NFLPA is not expected to reach a resolution to the national anthem policy by the start of the regular season. And finally, a homeowners association that became fed up with dog poop being left around spent close to $3,000 on DNA kits intended to track down the falta respetos, leaving their dog poop behind without picking it up. You guys just write normally, man? I mean, falta respeto. I don't even know what that means.
Oh, Spanish is not normal?
No, for me, no.
Falta de respeto. Falta de
So I'm not
respeto.
normal?
No, Mike.
I'm not normal if
I
I
could
write
barely
that?
read English. Can you help me out?
I'm not normal?
I'm going to fight you. Hey, just a reminder, if doing your deck is on your to-do list this summer, put new Valspar stain on your shopping list. That way you can get all-weather protection and more inspiring color. Valspar exterior stain only at Lowe's. Falta respetos. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Jemele Hill is in with us on what is not under any circumstances her last day here at ESPN. We have another Suey category to unveil. You said to her during the break that she's in one of these Suey categories. Is this the one? This is the one?
This is the one. Congratulations.
Way to go.
Oh, my God.
All right,
Yes.
Jemele. So Suey is, one time Luther Campbell came on our show and was listening to a Kobe Bryant rap song, and he said it was worse than garbage. It was worse than hot garbage. It was Suey.
Suey.
That's how he said it. And so this became our award show. So the best revelation over the last year of radio we've been doing, here are the nominees.
And now the Suey nominees for Best Revelation. Lane Kiffin on Nick Saban's No Hats Rule.
Friday night meetings, which are usually pretty casual. They're at the hotel the night before the game. And I had a hat on. Well, I didn't know, you weren't supposed to wear a hat in a meeting. I mean, I never heard of that. So he wasn't very happy that when I walked out of the meeting, he saw that I was wearing a hat. So he didn't like that. So I didn't get to wear a hat anymore.
So how does that conversation go?
That I can't say, especially because the lady you had on before said, make sure you know this is live, so you can't say anything.
Well, all right, can you bleep it out? Just use bleeps where you would use the word.
Yeah, use bleeps.
It would be rated R.
Jim Brockmeyer reveals Brent Musburger pooped on his hotel bed.
About 15, 20 years ago, we got into it a little bit over the pronunciation of, you remember Kent Herbeck? Remember him?
Yes.
Remember him?
First baseman for the Twins.
Yes,
H-R-B-E-K.
exactly.
Yes.
I speak a little bit of Czech, and the actual correct pronunciation of his name is Herbeck. Okay, and I told that to Musburger, and you know what he said to me? He said, I don't care. I don't care, Jim. I took it as a slight to the Czech people, quite frankly, and one thing led to another. I don't know how to say this. He took a dump in my hotel bed. Okay? And he did.
But why? What was your history? Why would it escalate to there?
There wasn't a small amount of alcohol involved. I think he did it on purpose. I can't be totally sure.
Jemele Hill's mom called the White House.
Even with me, obviously I've been written about a lot. My mother is very angry at a lot of the coverage. There's some particular people in the highest office she's not very pleased with either. Right. And so as a result, I have to tell her to calm down. My mother told me she actually called the White House, which I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Your mom called
there you go. That's a great story. That's
the White House.
How defensive. Like, stop. Leave my daughter alone.
The White House has like a general number? Like, how does that?
No, they do.
Yeah, they do have a general number. Did she leave a message? Did she leave a message?
I wanted to know nothing else because I wanted plausible deniability.
George St. Pierre reveals his encounter with a UFO.
One day I saw an unidentified flying object, and we all saw the same thing at the same time, and we don't know what it was. It was a spectrum of light, or I don't know. I don't know. From my perspective, it looked like a kind of a green triangular shape. And it was maybe the size of a football field.
Lane Johnson has a babysitter during the off season.
They cage me in the off season. I have a guy that stays with me to make sure I don't do nothing stupid.
Wait a minute.
For the organization. So,
wait a minute. Lane, you have the Des Bryant babysitter?
I do. He's my best friend.
Yeah.
So I hired him as my manager. He does a lot of my social media, all the stuff for the school.
Wait,
so, hey,
Lane, what did you
story.
do? Lane, what did you do that you need a babysitter? What happened?
I got suspended twice.
David Sampson was sued for ruining someone's marriage.
I apparently introduced Ozzie Guillen to somebody, and this woman then left her husband, and the husband accused me of setting up Ozzie and the woman, therefore falling in love, and therefore causing a divorce.
Yes.
So I was served papers as the Cupid of sorts to break up this marriage.
Dan has used product in his hair.
Carlos Boozer went on Highly Questionable. If you're not familiar with this, it's basically shoe polish on the head. If you're balding or you got spots there, I used to use on television a can of hair. You just, you just sprinkle like a can of hair in a spot, and it would just cover up. It's like it is. It's like gray spackle. It's just something you put in your hair, and it makes it look like it's not splotchy.
Greg Cody's dad won a Purple Heart for breaking his ankle. My dad did win a Purple Heart, but I asked him once how he won the Purple Heart, because you always think of heroism in war. My dad was a cook, an Army cook, and he won a Purple Heart for falling off a truck and breaking his ankle. So not all Purple Heart winners are like heroes who save an entire battalion from enemy gunfire. Yes. But, God bless the Purple Heart winner. That's all I'm saying. And I love you, Dad. See you soon. Bud Grant autographed someone's butt at his garage sale.
Oh, somebody had me autograph their butt one year, so that's the strangest one.
How did that go?
Quickly.
Billy Bob Thornton got held up while filming Monsters Ball.
I got robbed on the street while I was making Monsters Ball in New Orleans, or stuck up by a guy with a knife. And I didn't look at him. I had $11 in my pocket. And I said, dude, look, here's the money. It's yours. All I got's $11. And the guy recognized me then. And he said, man, you're one of my favorites. And I talked to the guy who had just held me at knife point. And this was in the daytime. It was on a Sunday. I was just walking on one of those streets where there's not much but boarded up buildings down there. And at the end of the thing, I said, do you still want the $11? And he goes, no, man, keep that. That's yours.
Bernie Williams has used psychedelic drugs.
I would venture to say, or ponder the question, are chemical-induced experiences useful in music?
Wow, they are in baseball, as we've noticed from your from those teams,
room,
from the teams that you played with.
Would they make you a more effective musician if you indulge in all those, like psycho, substances?
Mind opening.
Well, the Grateful Dead, Bernie, they did the acid test where they would just jam out on acid, and they said they were much better on acid than they were off acid.
Bernie Williams is getting real close to that line. Do you want to go back away from this squeaky clean, saying I would never do such a thing? I'm Yankee legend Bernie Williams. I don't think anyone should be open-minded about psychedelic drugs.
This whole music thing has opened a whole new world for me. So
controversial, Bernie Williams.
That will be your controversial line right there.
Bernie Williams is a psychedelic drug user. Woo!
Oh God!
Tell us, drops acid. Tell us about breathless IPF.
Shrooms.
Terry Bradshaw sits when he pees.
I hate to hear that noise, that peeing noise when it hits the water.
Yeah.
I don't like that, so I sit down. I have a bad back anyway.
Oh, you're sitting
really?
down. Terry, you are so revealing.
I sit. Well, it's 2:00 in the morning. I'm sleepy.
Rosie Perez admits she has a foot thing.
You know the guy from SVU, Chris, what's his name, Maloney? I did a guest thing on SVU, and he's sitting in the makeup trailer, and I walk in, and he has flip-flops on, and I look down at his feet, and I go, oh, my God, your feet are hot. And he goes, what? I go, what? Nothing. I didn't say anything. What did I say? And so it happens.
That is.
I have a foot thing.
Okay, very good.
Stugotz admits he'd commit a crime.
I would absolutely take down my own school as a journalist if I find out that there was financial aid problems. Are you kidding me? I'm not hiding that story.
I totally leverage that information for money. I would. I'd bring it to UM and be like, listen, I'm going to write this report.
Really?
There's an amount of money. Yep, that's what I do. Yeah.
Felony blackmail.
Yep. If I was young, yep.
When you were young.
Yeah, I'd do it tomorrow.
Stugotz's dream.
The last dream I remember was me in my 6th grade class. Mr. Fizemayer was my teacher, and I just remember being in the back corner of his classroom, and this evil monster was coming after me. And I'm not certain if it was Mr. Fizemayer, who was a nice guy, fluffy mustache, big-time surfer. I can't remember if it was him coming after me, like if it was a monster with a giant fluffy mustache and a surfboard, or if it was just some other random monster. But I used to hide in the back of his classroom, and this monster would always come after me, and it was like the dream would always cut off right when the monster was getting to me. So I never knew how it ended.
Terry Bradshaw's oddest place he's peed.
Here's one. Top of the house.
What?
Top of the house. Peed. But I was going to pee over the edge, but I ended up peeing in the gutter, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
Top of the house. That's the one I knew for sure.
That's a good one. How about the sink? Ever in the sink? Ever in the sink of the house?
Oh, of course. Of course I peed in the sink.
Do you even use a bathroom anymore?
Get this. In college, we had a sink, and the bathroom was right outside my door, and I'd get up, my roommate, he'd be asleep, and I'd just get up and pee in the sink. Wash it out good, though.
Tim Kirchin's bizarre dream about shooting free throws.
I have a recurring nightmare 3-4 times a year that I'm at the free throw line and I'm shooting a free throw, and instead of shooting a basketball, I'm shooting a winter coat.
What?
You can't shoot a winter coat.
Right.
It opens up and you shoot an air ball every time.
Wow.
That is a recurring nightmare that I have.
Splash!
Do we discuss anything other than bathroom habits with Bradshaw?
That's all we talk about with Bradshaw.
That's a tough category.
Yeah,
it's like 72 nominees in it.
Which one would you vote for? Which would you vote for?
I mean, to find out that one of the best quarterbacks of all time pees sitting down, startling.
It's a bit of a shocker.
Startling information.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm as happy as a clam.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will be, quote, as happy as a clam, unquote. The Geico legal team cannot accurately verify clams even experience the complex human emotional state known as happiness. As an invertebrate mollusk living half submerged on the ocean floor, with no arms, legs, or wireless access, what's there to be happy about? A clam's all like, oh, I'm so happy I didn't get turned into New England clam chowder today. Pronounced regionally as chowder. Chowder. Oh, that's so fun to say. What were we talking about again?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Every week during the baseball season, ESPN's premier baseball insider joins Dan and Stugotz to drop some hardball knowledge and take your calls.
2 + 2, I'm going to undress you. 3 and 3, you're going to undress me. 4 and 4, we're going to freak some more.
Here is Dan Batard, Stugotz, and Tim Kirchen on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more at Progressive.com. Tim Kirchen going to join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. I'll take your phone calls, 786-456-4837. Here's your SportsCenter update. The King said that the FBI is investigating current Heat Chief Revenue Officer Jeffrey David of embezzling sponsorship money to buy a house in California while he was CRO in Sacramento. The Heat have placed David on administrative leave. Walt Frazier says that he would give Kevin Durant an asterisk on the list of all-time great players because of his success with the Golden State Warriors. He's 2 years late to that party.
Asterisk.
Whatever. He's 2 years late to my party. And finally, former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon blasted Elon Musk yesterday, calling him, quote, an immature man-child. Bannon, you're a year late to this party. Not at home? Not a problem, because now you can get pizza delivery to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations like parks, beaches, and more with Domino's Hotspots. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's Hotspots. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Kirkshin, does Dallas Braden look like your college economics professor who enters the full classroom carrying his bicycle while apologized for being 4 minutes late?
Dallas looks like so many people. Oh, my gosh.
Does Lane Kiffin look like the guy who gets his wisdom teeth pulled but still shows up to his surprise birthday party at Hooters? Paul, you're on with Tim Kirkshin. Paul, go ahead.
Hey, Tom. What would benefit hitters more, lowering the mound or moving it back a foot or two? Thanks.
I think moving it back would help the hitters more. Mike Flanagan told me that years ago, he said, when they were talking about lowering the mound. He said, geez, thanks a lot for that, fellas. Why don't you move it forward 10 feet if you really want to help us? So moving it back would help the hitters more than lowering the mound.
Does Will Cain look like the executive VP of a major corporation who throws a major temper tantrum after his dad, the CEO, announces he no longer plans to retire? Luis, you're on with Tim Kirkshin. Go ahead, Luis.
Hey, Tim, it's a pleasure. Quick question. In today's age in the MLB, who would you compare to the great Roberto Clemente Jr.? Is it Mike Trout?
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning, Dan.
I guess modern-day players you would compare to Roberto Clemente, and he asked Mike Trout, but Mike Trout's a good deal better than Roberto Clemente, isn't he?
Mike Trout has power that Roberto Clemente didn't have. Mike Trout runs better than Roberto Clemente did. However, Clemente was a demonstrably better defensive player, had a significantly better outfield arm, and Clemente's one of the great players of all time, and I think if Mike Trout keeps up this pace, he's going to pass Roberto Clemente and a lot of other guys in baseball history when we start listing the greatest players of all time.
In terms of playing style, though, the guy most comparable to Clemente, wouldn't it be someone like Vladimir Guerrero?
Yeah, Vlad Guerrero has a lot of Clemente in him, but again, not the same defensive player. Guerrero never won a Gold Glove. Clemente, for me, is the greatest defensive right fielder of all time. Guerrero had a little bit more power, and they were similar career batting averages. That's a good comparable there, and they both were great bad ball hitters.
How good is his kid?
His kid is great. His kid is tremendous. He's tearing it up so unbelievably that he should be in the big leagues, but given how things work now with teams saying we're going to start the clock later, we likely won't see him this year, which is a shame because I can't wait till he gets here because he's going to be stunningly good pretty much as soon as he arrives.
Mac, you're on with Tim Kirkshin. Go ahead.
Hey, Tim, I've got a question about uniforms. Back in the day when I played, it was sanitaries and stirrups and Rydell's. And now with the NFL and NBA being very cautious about what players wear, why and when did it happen that baseball became more a personal, the uniforms changed. Some are over their shoes, some are up to their knees.
What? Well, again, baseball allowed its players to dress the way that they want. Some guys wear their pants way up as a tribute to the old-time players. Manny Ramirez started putting them way down by his shoes because he liked it better that way and felt more comfortable. And baseball said, "Look, we're not going to have a dress code here unless it's against the rules, and you can wear your socks almost anywhere you like."
Does Urban Meyer look like the guy who floors it and beats you to the last parking spot at church? Does Joe West look like a baked potato?
You knew that would go.
You knew that would get him, right? Anything Cowboy Joe West related is like tickling Kirkshin. Sam, you're on with Tim Kirkshin. Go ahead.
Hey, so I know how you feel about shoes, but when you take a shower, do you actually reach down and wash your feet, or you just the soap run down and take care of it for you?
Good question. Do you wash your feet, or you just let the soap go down there when you shower, Kirkshin?
I usually wash my feet. It requires a great deal of bending down to do that. I'm not sitting down anywhere. I'm going to bend down, wash my feet. I don't do it every time. I would say I do it most of the time.
I want you all to drink that in. Thank you. Charlie, you're on ESPN Radio with Tim Kirkshin.
Hey, Tom, question for you. When you're reading a phone or credit card number to someone, do you like them to repeat it back to you number by number in chunks at the end, or not at all?
Very good question.
This is excellent.
I usually, there's a rhythm to it. If you're reading a credit card, I think you can go 4 at a time since it's 3 groupings of 4. I can handle that. But sometimes with a phone number, you give the first 3, slight pause, you got a hyphen, then you go. That's how I would do it. The grouping is what matters.
You really thought this out. Timmy, at 8-8, has Jacob deGrom been the best pitcher in baseball this year?
Well, he's been, I would say he's probably the best pitcher in baseball, though Chris Sale's been unbelievable, but he's gotten hurt a couple times. That ERA, fellas, is ridiculous. 9 pitchers since 1920 have had an ERA that low, and 200 or more innings. And the only guy to do it in the last 23 years is Zach Greinke. So I'm a big ERA guy. To me, it's still the best evaluator of a pitcher's talent. So you have an ERA that low and so many games with so few runs and so many innings and all the strikeouts. I think he's the Cy Young winner in the National League at the moment, but it could easily change in the last month with Scherzer and Nola in the National League.
Texter writes in, do these callers realize that his name is actually Tim and not Tom?
You don't get the show.
Paul, you're on ESPN Radio with Tom Kirkshin. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, Dan, Stu, love your show, but Tim, what is the rarest play in baseball? Is it an unassisted triple play, and how many have there been?
I'm not sure how many there have been. I think it's 6 or 7. Mickey Morandini, Ron Hansen, Randy Velarde, Billy Wamsgas, but that's 4 off the top of my head.
Where are the other 2, Kirkshin? You're no expert. Where are the other 2, Kirkshin? You fraud. We have you on as an expert every damn week, and you can only come up with 4 of the names for the unassisted triple play.
Buster would know.
Buster would know. Buster, I bet you Buster only would know that, Tom.
All right. I'm not sure of the other ones. Sorry.
You've shamed him, Dan. This is the remorse and shame and in his voice.
You realize we are marveling at the fact that you know even 4, right? No?
Do you realize that?
I realize that. No, I don't realize anything. I'm sorry.
I feel like we hurt your feelings for the first time. I really hurt your feelings.
I felt it. I feel like he thinks there's an actual hole in his knowledge game as we're all like staring at him. How do you know the four of the six names? Who was that second name you said?
Well, I have Mickey Morandini, Ron Hansen, Randy Velarde, and Billy Wamsgast, who did it like a million years ago. Yes, those are the only ones I know.
All right. And Andy, you're on. Also, by the way, you could just check the internet, caller. You could just check the internet on unassisted triple plays. Amy, you're on with Tim Kirchin. Go ahead.
Hey, Bill. Kyle Freeland's having such a great season for the Rockies. Why is no one talking about him nationally?
I'm sorry, was that Kyle Freeland, she said?
Yes.
Yes. He's having a great year. He's a great pitcher, but there are three pitchers in the National League who are better than him at the moment. Nola, Scherzer, and DeGrom, and that's why we're not getting more love for Kyle Freeland. But everyone in the league and everyone who covers the game knows how good that guy is, the year he's having, especially pitching his home games in that ballpark where the ball flies and runs are scored all the time.
Timmy, Tulowitzki for Cal. There's been 15 total. So Tulo for Cal, all those guys, unassisted triple plays.
15?
Wow, that's more than I thought. That's pretty good.
Yep.
Sam Darnold, does he look like a male cheerleader or like a Lego fireman? You got to pick one.
The Lego one is perfect. Every time I see him on TV, all I can think is the policeman and the Legos. It's unbelievable.
Does Tim Kirchin look like the jockey of a horse named Can of Corn owned by Scott Van Pelt?
Don Le Batard.
Vladimir Guerrero is 7th in WAR in Nationals and Expos history.
Stugotz.
How many Expos are ahead of him?
Oh, easy. Gary Carter's first.
The
then
kid.
Tim Raines.
Rock.
Andre Dawson.
Hawk.
Steve Rogers.
Raj.
Tim Wallach.
T-Wall.
And then Ryan Zimmerman, and then
Zim.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Get in touch with the show anytime through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed at Le Batard Show, at Stugotz790, at Jemele Hill. It is time for Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contract.
Well, here's the Straight Talk with the controversial Jemele Hill. She's been unprofessional all show today, Mike. We can't keep her attention because she is just live streaming Aretha's funeral. She doesn't want to be here. She wants to be there. She's from Detroit, and she's just distracted. She's not paying much of attention to any of what we're doing. She keeps showing Roy videos from the funeral that she's live streaming on her phone, and it's like two different Americas in here.
Oh, it's a spectacle. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's already, for those who are unacquainted with the black funeral, this is not just a black funeral. This is about to be the blackest funeral you've ever seen. And it's Detroit on top of that. You know, it's Detroit and a black funeral, the combination of this.
Well, what does this mean, though? Can you explain to her that throwing on someone being throwing themselves on the casket?
Well, if you've ever attended a black funeral, and I've had the pleasure of attending a few, or that sounded weird to say the pleasure of.
Yes, it really. I've had. It's really a weird thing to derive pleasure from.
A funeral.
I've had the pleasure of going to many black funerals. Sounds like something that we shouldn't be saying.
I misspoke. Sorry. I've gone to obviously many black funerals. One, it's not starting on time. And already the Aretha Franklin funeral was supposed to start at 10. It's 11:30, and they're still ushering people in. Okay.
What's the over-under on start time for you?
Wait, no, what's the over-under on how long this funeral is? Have you heard who's on this program? It's like Jesse Jackson, Louis Farrakhan. They're supposed to get only a few minutes each. Our first black president, Bill Clinton's there. Bill and Hillary are there.
And Obama wants, Obama's got to be at McCain's, right? So
yeah.
he's torn. Difficult decision.
Well, do we know he's at McCain's? Right.
I would assume he is. See, that's two Americas right there. You know.
Ain't that, though? Those are two really different.
Really different funerals.
So what else can we expect at a black funeral, though? Like what, you want to do a pregame show?
Well, for sure. I mean,
as we have the pleasure of watching this black funeral.
It seems like you have 2 more hours of pregame coverage here. So.
Correct.
Right.
I would love to know who is hosting the after party. That's what I would love to know, because see, at a black funeral, it is after, you go and you have food, but it's not just just a few snacks. It is on another level. That's when.
Well, who are the nominees to host it? Who do you think's in play?
Whoever has the best potato salad. That's who has to do it.
But it's going to be, everything is going to be, this is going to, everybody in entertainment is going to go to this. This is the burying of a black icon that every black person who has made $1 in entertainment would want to be at this funeral.
So far, I've seen Smokey Robinson, Jennifer Holliday, and I'm sure there's many more coming. I do have a friend of mine is inside the funeral. I do have a spy, a mole.
Can we get like a correspondent?
Correct. We can get dispatches, and I've already been told on the last text dispatch that Omarosa showed up.
Omarosa showed up.
She ain't even invited to the cookout, much less how she got in Aretha's funeral. I don't even know. Because I thought we canceled Omarosa.
I mean, I think you stumbled upon a game. Is this person attending McCain's or Aretha's funeral?
Ooh, that is a good game.
Yes.
That is a good game.
And the other thing at a black funeral, there's always at least one fight. And since Omarosa showed up, there's going to be one fight.
We can't have a fight. We can't have a fight.
No, that's how it works.
No, we can't.
No, it's like a party doesn't start till there's a fight. It's the same at a funeral. It's like, it's got to be a fight. Roy is right. Somebody does have to throw themselves on Aretha's casket and threaten to go with her. Take me instead.
Oh, someone's going to do that today, you're saying?
I mean, I'm assuming that's got to take place. And it's usually not somebody who is close enough to the person who is dead to warrant that response. It's like the sixth uncle by marriage.
An imposter.
Overreaction, trying to get some glory.
It's the Stugotz of the Aretha Franklin funeral. Somebody who wants a little extra attention because they're sixth behind Jesse Jackson.
Who's also there. Like right now, if this is the time to commit some racism, because every single black leader is at Aretha Franklin's.
Now's the time to do it.
Commit racism right now, because no one will be there to see it. We got Jesse, Louis Farrakhan, and Al Sharpton. They're all at Aretha's funeral.
Don Batard.
It's Rich Eisen stealing my material. It is Jimmy Traina stealing my material. Hey, get out of here, man.
Who is that? Who is Jimmy Traina?
He's a media writer, I think, out of New York, who I happen to like.
Stugotz.
Like
there it is. There it is. The pivot of the Stugotz into schmarmy salesperson.
No, I happen to like Jimmy. Like, I don't know Jimmy, but I happen to like Jimmy. Jimmy Traina sounds like a guy I would hang out with.
It does. I think you're pronouncing his name wrong, by the way, but keep it moving.
Oh, whatever. I like Jimmy.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Jemele Hill is with us today. She has been appointed as a spokesperson on behalf of the black delegation. We have all manner of chaos breaking out here because Roy has never smiled so much. He's just staring at the television screen. Jemele is demanding to play some sort of strange funeral bingo that I'm unfamiliar with.
I'm totally in on this game. It's a great idea.
Mike Ryan is busy furiously trying to come up with a new game of, are they at McCain's funeral or are they at Aretha Franklin's funeral? He's working on that. But first, what do you have? What is this funeral bingo you've put together?
So I didn't put this together, so I don't want to take credit. But on Twitter, Black Twitter, distinction, they have created an Auntie Retha, because she just Retha to us. We pretend the A doesn't exist. It's just Retha. Or Riri, also acceptable.
But Aretha's not.
No, it's Retha.
Okay, it's either Retha or Riri. Okay.
Right. So they have created Auntie Retha's homegoing, because we don't call them funerals. We call them homegoings. Right?
Right.
It's another thing.
Right.
And they've created the bingo game. And of things you might see at this funeral, such as a praise break. Probably true. That's when random praise of God just happens at a black church. Just randomly.
A praise break.
A praise break. That's what they call it. Because a lot of these churches now, black churches, have praise teams. This entire team's created to praise. Who will say the first or the phrase first giving honor to God? If you've seen this at award shows, a lot of times black celebrities, black athletes, you'll see them say, the first thing they'll say is giving honor to God, who is the head of my life. Right? So
Sharpton's out there. Sharpton's made his way out. He's super skinny and he's singing. Look out, everybody.
And it's at Greater Grace Temple. I was baptized in this church. And it's a huge church. It's like a arena. I don't know how many it holds, but this is like the perfect venue for this.
How great is this? Bill Clinton is in the mix. He's in the mix, and he's got good seats.
Look at the white people. They look very confused about what's happening.
Clinton's got good seats. Is he near Farrakhan?
Yes, he is. It's on the stage. It's Al Sharpton. Look at Bill Clinton in the back. You see him behind Sharpton?
Yes, there he is. What do you mean, do I see him? Of course I see him. What do you mean, do I see him?
I know.
What are you talking about? He looks different than everyone else there.
Really, Dan? What could be so different?
Is there some sort of VIP section there?
It is.
Really? It's a good VIP, too.
So Kelly Carter from The Undefeated, she is at the funeral. She was invited by the family. And so she is sending me texts from this funeral.
Sharpton, he's just leaning on the pulpit. He's not even speaking. He's just leaning on it. When's my turn?
Hillary sighting.
Yep, there's Hillary.
This is so. Anyway, the Black Bingo or the Aretha homegoing bingo. It's also somebody saying somebody ain't dressed for church, because you do get that. Outfit change number 3. Someone reads the obituary for everybody. A Dove release. My money's on the Dove release.
Oh, we got to get a Dove release.
There's got to be a Dove release.
There's going to be a Dove release.
Saw Shirley Caesar. Yeah. And when you see Shirley Caesar, you know she's about to show out. So
Roy, why are you smiling so much, though? We've lost Roy. He's just gazing at BET.
This is a sad day, Roy. I mean,
thanks to guys. I see Bill Clinton trying to read the program, trying to get the lyrics down and everything. It's just crazy.
He's like, I don't know. I'm not familiar with this song. Everyone else is. Telling you, this is a deep look inside of Black culture. There's Jesse Jackson. Who is that with him? Can't tell. Right.
Is there anyone else? You're from Detroit. Lord knows Detroit is at the height of all things Motown. Is there literally anybody who would get this crowd? Is there anybody else who would get this crowd?
The last time that we had something like this, but not obviously on this level, was when Aaliyah died. And I remember they had a horse-drawn carriage with her casket in it that went through the streets of Detroit. That was all white. That was the last time.
Not even Ali did this. And Ali wasn't even, I can't think. I'm not sure what would.
Certainly for our city, there would not be, I can't think of a single native Detroiter that would get this kind of national and international sort of response to
Mike,
their death.
Have you formed this game? Do you feel comfortable playing this game right now? Because Bill Clinton, if before we turned our televisions on, that would have been a great one. Bill Clinton, which funeral is he at? Is it McCain or Aretha Aretha?
Omarosa would have been incredible, but we know those. So what we're going to do is you have to guess either Aretha's funeral, McCain's funeral, or neither.
Ooh. Wow. Neither is real controversial.
All right, here we go. Number 1. Warren Beatty. Is it Aretha?
Oh my God! One of yours just got.
We now know. Spoiler alert! We now know.
We know one.
We know one. We just got a face on the screen.
I should have led with Whoopi. All
right, but you.
And I would have guessed McCain.
Yes,
I would have totally guessed McCain.
I would have guessed McCain too, but you led with Warren Beatty. So
we're stuck with your bad decision now. You led with Warren Beatty instead of Whoopi.
Warren Beatty.
I'm gonna guess McCain. Or no, I'm gonna guess neither.
I'm going to guess McCain.
I'm going to guess Aretha.
McCain.
Oh,
Warren Beatty. Why would he be at Aretha Franklin?
All right.
Never know.
Too obvious.
Michigan Senator Carl Levin. Former Michigan Senator Carl Levin.
Oh, Aretha.
Yeah.
Got to be Aretha.
Is it going to be? I'm going to go McCain as well there.
Michigan Senator. Stugotz?
I'm going to say McCain.
McCain.
Wow. Cut me to the core,
You must
Carl
be ashamed of yourself.
What?
Big Sean.
Oh.
Aretha.
I think
McCain. Or neither.
I think I'm going to say neither. I'm going to say neither on this one.
I'm going to go McCain.
John Casey? Big Sean. I'm going to go Aretha here.
Aretha.
Oh, he attended. Nice.
Detroit. All right. This one's a little tricky because it's Isaiah Thomas, but I'm not going to tell you which Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, wow.
Well, it has to be Detroit Pistons, Isaiah Thomas.
No. What if it's the one that spent part of his career in Phoenix?
Yep.
Isaiah Thomas.
Yep, Celtic.
Isaiah Thomas of the Pistons is at Aretha's funeral.
Yes.
I'm going to say McCain's.
Aretha. Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh, wow.
Larry Fitzgerald.
He played at Pittsburgh. Is he from Detroit?
No, but he has a good relationship with McCain, so I'm going to go McCain.
Arizona. Okay, yeah, that's a... Does Larry Fitzgerald...
Neither is an option, folks. Neither.
I'm going to go neither. Larry's getting ready for the regular season. Neither.
Oh, Arizona. All right.
McCain.
I'll go McCain.
Look at that.
All right. Former Phoenix Coyote Shane Doan.
It's a good one. No, it's a good one.
How is that a good one?
McCain,
Phoenix Coyote.
Aretha, or neither.
Neither. I feel comfortable with neither.
I'm going to go McCain.
I'm going to go neither.
McCain.
Oh!
Whoa. Charles Barkley.
Ooh, this is a good one.
That is a good one.
That's a really good one.
Charles Barkley.
I thought about this.
Wait a minute, but all he's done, he played in Arizona, but he also was, arrested by racist Sheriff Joe Arpaio, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Spent some time.
Our friend, racist Sheriff Joe Arpaio, I should say.
Kind of resembles Poppy. It's kind of scary.
He looks like Poppy, and he's been a frequent guest on this show. Yes. So, but Charles
Barkley.
He's got to be at Aretha's.
I would guess Aretha.
I'm going to say, I'm going to go McCain.
Neither. I got you all. CeCe Winans.
Oh, totally at Aretha's.
Yeah?
She went to my high school.
Oh, really?
She better be at Aretha's funeral.
All right. Well, she's at neither.
Oh, wow.
This show ain't free. Time for some ads.
Whoopi would have been such a good one, but you started with Warren Beatty.
Honestly, I would have thrown you all had you not known Omarosa was at Aretha.
That's true.
Yeah,
that is true. We would have had some difficulty with Omarosa.
We also decided that she's the one jumping on the casket, right? If you go, I go.
Yeah. Prop bet. If you have that, take Omarosa as a prop bet.
Was this a tough call for Barack? McCain is a friend or was a friend.
I mean, he's giving a eulogy there.
Which one? He could do both.
Can you imagine if Shane Doan was at Aretha Franklin's funeral?
Oh, it would have been awesome.
Have you seen any white people other than Bill Clinton? I'm dead.
His wife.
His wife. And his
Hillary.
Other than it's so great that they're there. It really is that they didn't go to McCain's funeral. They snubbed McCain.
Well, where's Joe Biden?
Ooh, that would have been a good one, but I know he was at McCain's.
Yeah, you win this round.
She was terrible at it. Jemele was the worst player of McCain or Aretha.
Faith Evans?
Ooh.
She's not going to be at Aretha's funeral. Faith Evans?
Faith Evans, I'm going to say Aretha.
Neither. I got you. You're so bad at this.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
I'm a little hurt. I'm a little wounded. I really, really respect and admire Jemele Hill, and I can't do anything to keep her attention on this radio show and this platform that we so love, because she is gazing at the television and she just keeps pointing, and then I see her mouth, Jesse Jackson. She's just very excited. As she told you earlier, she's had the pleasure of attending many black funerals, and I don't think I've ever seen delight at a funeral the way that Jemele and Roy are enjoying watching this funeral.
Well, Faith Hill right now must have everybody testifying, because she has brought this entire church to their feet. I don't know what she's singing. We don't have the audio on, but she just dropped the mic. A Tyler Perry sighting. Look at that.
What was Jesse Jackson doing? What happened with Jesse? What was he doing?
He was just standing there, and I do know Hillary Clinton was swaying off beat, but that's okay. So it's fine. She can sway off beat. But this funeral, over under on how long this funeral is going to last. Over under. I mean,
we might have to have other funerals. There's so many old people there. We might have some other funerals that we have to bury these people because,
since we are all gathered here, might as well. Why not? So when I received the Journalist of the Year award from the National Association of Black Journalists last month, Jesse Jackson was the keynote. He was supposed to do 5 minutes. So 23 minutes later, he was still talking. It was all good stuff.
Of course.
He's supposed to do 7 minutes today. I think you need to tack on a 0.
Still upset you beat me out on that.
That is not even Jamel's best Jesse Jackson story.
No. When I got suspended, I picked up the phone. This was, I forgot where I was when this happened. But anyway, I picked up the phone.
It had to be surreal. It had to be
because
surreal.
you know the voice. I wish I could imitate it well, but it was Jesse Jackson, and he called me because he wanted me to know he was supporting me and that he was going to call ESPN himself, and he wanted to pray with me. Now, it's a little surreal, as you said, Dan. Jesse Jackson wanted to, pray for me, about the suspension and the turmoil. It was a very kind and sweet gesture. There's a part of it that was kind of funny. So as he's praying, there's going through my mind. I'm like, oh my God, this is
I'm
Jesse.
Praying with Jesse Jackson. I have picked up my phone, and on the other end of my phone, Jesse Jackson wishes to pray with me. Guillermo, put it on the poll. If Jesse Jackson calls you up and says, will you pray with me? Are you then obligated, no matter your denomination, culture, no matter your beliefs, are you then obligated to pray? Because I would say yes. You have to start.
You'd be an atheist. You have to do it. You just have to, you have to totally just spitball, freestyle.
No matter what.
No matter what.
No matter whom he calls. You
got to do it.
Somehow he calls my number by mistake.
That's right. You got to pray with him.
Yeah.
You got to pray with him.
I think you're right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I got to say, though, while Faith Hill was singing, Jesse Jackson looked at her and was like, that white girl can sing. Not sing, but sang.
Sang. Put the A on it. The long A.
Yes, Mike. Jamel is very comfortable. She is chewing pizza while talking.
She took a bite from her pizza.
She's very comfortable.
Very relaxed, yes.
This is what happens
and she's watching the big spectacle.
This is what I'm saying. She's going to bring out a tub of popcorn in a second. She's not paying attention to anything we're doing around here.
I got too comfortable. I'm watching a celebration, as Roy put it perfectly, of black culture. I have no idea who this white man is.
Who is this guy? Who is this guy?
Who doesn't enjoy pizza with their funeral?
It looks like Mr. Belding.
Who is the guy speaking now, and why are black people headed for the exits?
It's the choir.
Stugotz, what's going on with Tony Dungy? I left the room before, and you're like, Tony Dungy's weighed in, and I'm like, what do I care about the weighing in of Tony Dungy? What's he weighed in on?
Tony Dungy thinks someone needs to tell Jalen Ramsey to dial it down.
Ooh.
Hey, Tony, you just told him. Why does someone else have to tell him now? Why don't you tell him, Dungy? Dial down what? We need a little personality in the NFL. It's void of personality, and Jalen's providing that. And, Tony Dungy, who I like and I respect, but has zero personality. Please, come on.
He's got personality, but it's not Jalen Ramsey's personality.
No.
How's this going to go over? This never gets to last. This gets scrubbed out by that sport. Deion Sanders is the last guy I can remember carrying. I'm going to carry arrogance on top of me. And even Deion didn't go after players saying they were sorry.
No.
He didn't go after quarterbacks. Nope. I don't know when's the last time we had a guy in this league, a violent league, willing to talk this way.
I'm struggling to think of it, but to your point about how this plays out, everything matters in terms of how Jacksonville's season plays out. If they win, I think this will be still considered a fun storyline. I still think it's in that space. I don't know if you guys agree or not, but it still feels like people are loving it more so. But if Jacksonville starts losing, or if they're not as good as they were last season, you're going to see a flip in the other direction where Jalen Ramsey is suddenly going to become the flashpoint for that.
Usually how it works.
Yep.
Deion taught, but he backed it up, Dan. He really did.
And Jalen Ramsey will back it up because he's the best. I told you, the best athlete I've seen at FSU since Deion Sanders. That's covering everybody. But I just don't know how this is all going over with Tom Coughlin, because I can't imagine, and we've talked about conduct unbecoming of a Jaguar. Tom Coughlin's up there. How old is Tom Coughlin at this point? Tom Coughlin was a curmudgeon 20 bleeping years ago. Tom Coughlin was a curmudgeon in the Army. In the military. Tom Coughlin has been old his entire life. He's been disciplinarian his entire life.
He's 72.
Only?
Only?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd have guessed 272, but all right.
How is this going over with him?
You know how it's going over with him. His head's exploding, but there's nothing he can do because Jalen Ramsey's his best player.
But is there nothing he can do? Because in football, generally, there's nothing you can do when you're Tom Coughlin. You can do stuff.
I'm going to take this in the other direction. Okay. Given that it is Jacksonville, small market, overlooked by many, if you're the owner, is there a part of you that's welcoming this because it's given your team? I mean, in what universe would a Jacksonville Jaguar be the subject of a GQ profile? So if you're the owner, this is giving your team value.
No doubt.
So,
but it runs counter to the guy you hired to put in charge of this team, right? It runs counter to everything he believes in.
But there's something to be said for being able to possess the national spotlight from Jacksonville.
Not just that, though. Tom Coughlin, and this is the other thing that muddies it, Tom Coughlin has never had this good of a cornerback. This person is better than anyone Tom Coughlin has ever had at the position. Everyone, whether it's just watching games or advanced metrics, Jalen Ramsey is the highest end of what it is that he does for a living. And I'm stunned that he hasn't already muzzled it. I'm stunned that it hasn't already been diluted because name him. The guy in the sport that I would say this matches the most poorly with Jalen Ramsey. Is it even Belichick?
No, I mean, Belichick,
because Gronk behaves.
And Belichick doesn't really seem to do much. I mean,
they had Martellus Bennett, right? So
I think Coughlin's the guy. I mean, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of somebody else.
I think that's going to come to a head there. It's not going to be able to just stay with Jalen Ramsey doing interviews, however it is that he wants.
Perhaps it's Tony Dungy.
Demand once more money.
So he says somebody's got to tell Jalen Rose. Somebody's got to tell him.
Listen, Tony's not going to tell Jalen Ramsey.
Somebody's got to tell him.
It's
Somebody
Ramsey,
else.
not
We
Rose.
need to
at the
elect
fund.
somebody.
Yes, but someone needs to tell him. And he said, let the analyst analyze players. You just play. I got to be honest. I'd rather hear Jalen Ramsey's analysis of the quarterbacks than any analyst out there. I would. And he plays against them.
Dan Le Batard.
Ooh. Guillermo, sassy.
Stugotz.
You're sexy when you're sassy.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Sharpton's talking. Sharpton, if you don't want to listen to this, go listen to that. But this right here is the best that we do. This is Stugotz at the height of his powers on steroids. The Sueys have been spectacular this week. A whole bunch of laughs. It's our award show for the entire year, and here it is. This is the Best Picture category. Best Stugotz Dismissal from the last year.
And now the Suey nominees for Best Dismissal. Stugotz dismisses Andy Reid.
Go ahead, Andy Reid. I dare you to go 14-2 and allow Alex Smith to leave Arrowhead Stadium to leave Kansas City. Go ahead, I dare you. Because of Patrick Mahomes. Because you think you could turn Patrick Mahomes into something that Alex Smith is not. Alex Smith is a very good quarterback. The audacity, first off, to do this to Alex Smith, who's been very good and loyal to Andy Reid and won him a lot of football games, to dangle Patrick Mahomes out there because Andy Reid thinks he's some sort of quarterback whisperer, which he is not, by the way. He is not, because if he was, Alex Smith would be better than he's been the last few years. So I dare.
That's a record for contradiction.
It's on Andy Reid.
That is the
only reason Alex Smith is not better than Andy Reid.
That sets a world record for Stugotz not paying attention to any of the things he said the sentence before.
Stugotz dismisses Sister Jean.
The only one not getting paid at Loyola Chicago are the players. Sister Jean getting paid, school getting paid, president getting paid, coach getting paid.
I don't know if she's getting paid.
As of the most recent Darren Ravel article that I saw, in which he did the reporting about how she's allowed Loyola to license her name, she didn't ask for any compensation.
I read that as well. That's with the shoes and the shirts. The bobbleheads, though, she's raking it in.
Stugotz dismisses Warriors fans.
Can we pump the brakes on Golden State Warrior fans? that fan base has now become obnoxious. Okay, you got the best team in the world. It wasn't fair before you had Kevin Durant. Now you have Kevin Durant. It's completely unfair, and you're sitting there making fun of J.R. Smith. The fact that game came with your roster, that game came down to J.R. Smith doing J.R. Smith type things.
Why are you ripping the team?
Is a complete embarrassment, and these fans should be ashamed of themselves. Pump the brakes.
Stugotz dismisses Warner Brothers and Batman.
And finally. It's ridiculous. No one knows who's playing Batman. No one knows who's playing the Joker. Warner Brothers is a mess that's developing 2 different Joker movies in 2 different time periods with 2 different Jokers. And it appears the 2 films have nothing to do with each other. One moment, Affleck is Batman. The next, he's not. Now, he might still be Batman, but he can still change. It's all one big hot mess, Dano. I'm tired of it. It's ridiculous. Seriously, figure it out. Too many movies. That's absurd.
Mike Ryan and Stugotz dismiss the CBS Sports Network.
That network exists for the Chaser Midnight Whack basketball game. that when I want to watch Pacific play basketball, I'll call you.
Okay.
You're so right about this. I mean, CBS Sports Network is where careers go to die.
Oh, for the love of God.
I'm just saying, man.
Couldn't sound more defensive.
Not CBS Sports. I'm talking about just that network,
Dude,
the sports network.
I can understand any of the other competitors, would-be competitors, I should say, not the Whack Conference Network. Out of here.
Stugotz dismisses Terry Pluto.
There's so much information, I'm just not certain which information I should trust. Like cornerbacks and adjusted yards per pass in 2016. I don't know what that means. I don't know if I should trust this guy. I don't know if I should trust this site. Terry Pluto was his name. It was Terry Pluto.
Terry Pluto's a longtime columnist in Cleveland for 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay, way to dismiss.
Well, what does that mean? I mean,
okay.
Pluto.
Stugotz dismisses Elon Musk.
What a quack, Elon Musk. He's lost over $2 billion in the last month. He's going to have to start selling bonds because he needs to raise money. Otherwise, Tesla's going to go under. It's a bad, terrible business model. When all you do is talk about the products you're going to create and then you don't produce them. Where's the revenue? What are you selling? Dreams?
That sounds familiar.
Ideas? What are you selling? You're not selling anything tangible. You're just selling me a bunch of noise. Ha! How about that, Musk?
What?
Are you going to Mars with that?
Yeah.
Stick that in your rocket and smoke it.
Stugotz dismisses Tom Ricketts.
Tom Ricketts is saying that the Cubs will not allow Sammy Sosa back into that organization for anything moving forward until he comes clean. And what I find absurd about that, and what a hypocrite this guy is that family made hundreds of millions of dollars off the name Sammy Sosa. And my guess is, this is just a guess, that they probably had some, by the way, never tested positive for steroid use. And if he was using steroids, which we all assume that he was, my guess is if he was using it, the Ricketts family had an inkling that was going on in their own clubhouse. And for him to come out many, many years later and say Sammy Sosa must come clean for us to allow him back into our prestigious organization, our club, get out of here with that.
Yeah, Ricketts didn't make money off Sammy Sosa. He won the bid in 2009. This was post-Sammy Sosa.
Well, that ruins my argument. That's information I could have used on the front end. Well, who owned the Cubs in 2007?
Sam Zell?
Shame on him.
Bob Ryan dismisses Billy Gill.
This moment is indelible in my mind. I was on Central Street in Hingham, Massachusetts, about to take a right-hand turn onto South Street, right in front of St. Paul's Church and adjacent to the Square Cafe, when I heard this incomprehensibly stupid, monumentally, colossally ignorant observation that Roy Halladay's no-hitter doesn't count. Because it was in the postseason.
One of the
and
two.
I think to myself, this can only be the spouting of an individual who is uneducated in the world of sport, had not the slightest knowledge of how sport works. This is an alien from some other planet who has just only the 5 minutes before been introduced to the concept of sport. Who would put this person on the air? Who would allow him to have a public forum?
Bob, it's Billy again. Beatles a bit overrated.
Oh, God, Billy, just shut up. just don't talk.
Michael Wilbon dismisses Stugotz.
Mikey does a Game 7 against the Rockets, Western Conference Finals. You okay with it? He lets Draymond...
Game 7's on February the damn 10th.
I'm just saying.
Don't ask me a stupid question.
Michael, no.
Dumb to even ask me.
Michael.
To compare Game 7 with today? Stop being stupid. Seriously.
Mike, no, the Rockets are up 3-0, and Steve can't reach his team. They just want to get to the finish line. And he says, hey, Draymond, coach the team.
This is why, if I can talk to Dan about something reasonable, instead of just something this dumb, then I'll come back and I'll stay on the show. If not, I got better stuff to do, fellas.
Liam Neeson dismisses taking a pay cut, courtesy of the AP.
There's a lot of discussion about it and a lot of healthy and necessary discussion about it, because the disparity sometimes is disgraceful.
How do you think we can move past that?
We're starting, and it has to start, and it's starting with these extraordinary actresses and brave ladies, and we as men have got to be part of it. We started it, so we have to be part of the solution.
So would you take a pay cut to kind of equal things out?
No. Pay cut? No. That's going too far.
Stugotz dismisses Star Wars.
Hey, I'll tell you who else is jumping the shark is Star Wars. They're doing these Han Solo movies, and now they're doing an Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't care about the individual characters. I'm done with Star Wars, and I can speak on behalf of the rest of the country. We're all done with Star Wars. We're sick of it. Enough. George Lucas, enough. Stop reaching into my pockets, Lucas.
He doesn't own Star Wars anymore.
Well, whoever does, stop reaching into my pockets. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Well, keep reaching into my pockets. Go ahead. But seriously, you know what? I got to keep it real here. That's a bad idea. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Who cares about Obi-Wan Kenobi? I would say of all the Star Wars characters, the one you care least about is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I hope.
You go Luke Skywalker, you go Han Solo, you go Princess Leia, you go Chewbacca, you go Jabba the Hutt. All right, a long list before you get to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Leave out Yoda.
Stugotz dismisses U.S. soccer.
I'd start caring about soccer if they gave me a reason to care about soccer, but I have no reason to care about soccer because they're never good.
Last World Cup they did.
I'm tired of U.S.
You're
soccer.
You're so woefully ill-informed.
Everyone talking about the soccer growth here in the United States.
Look,
please, it translates into nothing.
Okay, I am not a soccer expert. I do not pretend to be one on the radio. I don't, like you, though, wave my ignorance around as a defense for all of my opinions on things when you don't seem to know much of anything.
Soccer's dead.
Okay, very good.
All right, seriously, it's done.
Right.
Like, if this kid is so good, he's the prodigy, and they're still not good enough to make it to the World Cup, I got news for you. Soccer in the United States, it's dead.
There it is, ladies and
done.
gentlemen. Okay.
See ya.
Okay.
And he's never making a World Cup, not at the age of 24, not at the age of 28 or 32, because USA Soccer is dead.
Stugotz dismisses Super Bowl Sunday.
I mean, everyone's dragging today. No one wants to be at work. It should be Super Bowl Saturday. It's the most obvious thing in the world, and I can't believe no one will agree, figure it out. I mean, let's go. Why are we doing this to people? Someone explain to me. No, I need a good explanation. These teams have 13 days off. Who cares? They have a bye week. They can't play on a Saturday night. The NFL's no problem trotting them out there on 3 days rest to play in a Thursday night game, but we can't do Super Bowl Saturday? Give me a break.
Stugotz dismisses Joe Madden.
Oh, no. Is Joe Madden happy?
I feel like he is.
Probably, yeah.
All right, so Joe Madden's current.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
He's a happy jerk is what he is.
Hold on.
What happened there?
Just hold on.
Well, he thinks he's better than everyone else. It's baseball. He's got more information than everyone else. No, you don't. You have better pitchers. That you didn't get. Theo got him. What's up with his hair? Jeez. Joe Madden. I mean, seriously, because here's the deal with Joe Madden. Like, what is he doing with the hair? Does he not think, like, we've all been watching him in the postseason for the last 10 years, Joe Madden. Like, does he not think we know that he has silver hair, and now all of a sudden it's black? And here's the other thing about Madden, all right? And this is why I don't like him. Here's it. I'm reporting exclusively, Joe Madden does not need glasses. He doesn't need them. He's got 20/20. He only wears them because it makes him appear to be smarter than everyone else in baseball.
Reckless speculation.
This guy forever will go down as one of the great managers of all time. And I'm here to tell you, he doesn't deserve it. He's not very good. He's not. Dan, what makes him so much better at managing a baseball team than anyone else?
Pretty smart.
He has better players. That's what he has. And why? Because he has a better general manager. And Theo Epstein deserves all that credit. And Joe Madden, you don't deserve any of it. And yet you walk around with that smug look on your face, and you got all these costumes and do all these things like you're smarter than Don Mattingly or Joe Girardi. Get out of here. You're not even close to it. Seriously, any manager in baseball could have managed the Cubs to a World Series.
Holy bleep.
Don Le Batard.
It's Friday. I'm getting into the weekend. I want to get my drink on.
Stugotz.
We've got to open up the club. Open it. Open it. Open it. Now. What is the computer buffering? There it is.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Gonna open up the club here to send you into the weekend in a second. People and the boys are headed out to Dallas for LS and UM are playing this weekend. Let's update the polls at Le Batard Show. Stugotz, what do you have?
The Twitter poll is brought to you by Discover Card. Discover thinks annual fees are ridiculous. If you do too, find out more at discover.com.
We don't have time for all of them. Just do a couple of them because we want to get to the club.
All right, very quickly here. Is the executive at ESPN who suggested Stugotz's gambling character be named Public Gut someone who should be fired? 81% of the audience said yes.
Don't listen to executives, man.
Did you think Andrew McCutcheon was still a pirate? Guys, this has never happened before.
What?
Never happened. 50% of the audience said yes.
I don't believe it.
Oh, no.
50% of the audience said no.
Hey, man, you know what? Wow.
That is wacky.
Wow. First time for everything, man.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yep. Final poll here. If Jesse Jackson calls you up and offers to pray with you, are you obligated to pray with him no matter your, I can't say this word, denomination? Wow, I said it. That was a shock to me. 58% of the audience said yes.
Go ahead and open up the club, Billy. What do we have here? What do we have? Debbie Deb, give it to him right there. Feel it in your chest. Feel it in there. Feel it in there. All right. There it is. It's in your nipples. It's an electricity in your nipples. And this is how we send you into the weekend. Shimmy shaking your shoulders with an assortment of sounds from the week. What do you have, Billy? How are you opening?
What are you doing? You're offsides.
Nice. Yes. Fake Dr. Phil. Is he running away with the limited fake category? People really like fake Dr. Phil.
I love a good squib kick.
Yeah. Some good phrases for Dr. Phil. Who else you got in there, Billy?
3 different game plans on Miami because of the knowledge and the expertise of our analysts.
That's right. Ed Orgeron, the Swamp Creature, has gone to his analysts. They've given him 3 game plans. He's going to unveil all of them at the same time, and the LSU offense is going to score 3 points like it always does.
I know our fans are going to be excited. Take over that stadium and turn it into Death Valley.
Yeah, and then LSU will do what it always does, which is just totally rely on the defense and hope you can win 9-7.
I will put both knees down to honor Jesus.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That is some of the best sound ever played on this show. He wasn't kneeling because of the anthem or anything else. It was because of Jesus.
I will put both knees down to honor Jesus.
Who else is in the club?
3-0.
Oh.
Respect, man. Respect. I won more premierships alone than the other 19 managers together.
Yes. 3 premierships he won.
Respect, man. Respect.
I won more. No, he's not a fraud. He's won more alone than all of them.
Fraud.
Respect, man. Respect.
Who else in the club?
Ain't it a burger? I mean, it's just a burger.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, there's no disputing it. I don't hear the lie told there.
Strap it on here, Dan. Oh, I'm going to take you for a ride. Strap yourself in is what I meant.
Strap it on, Dan.
What happened there? Strap it on here, Dan. Strap it on here, Dan. I'm going to take you for a ride.
Who else in the club? Oh, Allison is Cardi B.
You know, Dan Le Batard. Man, I like this show.
Mean as DMX.
Hey, everybody. Happy June.
All right.
The Cow Dog, an absolute classic. Hey, everybody. Happy June.
The party's over. We can all leave the club now. The club has been ruined by Andrew Luck coming in and doing book clubs.
Not very well. Hey, turnover in the red zone.
Hey, everybody. Happy June.
That is how Andrew Luck starts a thought before he gets actually moving.
What's the big to do about Weinstein? What's the big to do about Weinstein?
That's Kurt Dunkley.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPN News.